Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's the rainy season here in Tokyo, and today I'm going to be just talking for a short while only about a gosho.
Yes. So, Rick, what is exactly means gosho?
Okay, gosho, apart from being the name of a school, a high school that's nearby here, is actually also the letters written by Nichiren Daishonin, or the Buddha of the latter day of the law. And today especially, we're going to be looking at one of my favorite goshos, which is entitled Winter Always Turns to Spring. And first of all, I'm just going to read an excerpt from that gosho for you here, and so that, when you listen to it, just absorb these few sentences and think about the meaning or what it means to you. So, of course, these gosho are written by Nichiren Daishonin. And
Could you kind of elaborate what is or who is Nichiren Daishonin? Because being a Christian, I am very amateur. I am not educated about.
So he in February, let's get it dead right here.
Okay.
On a February 16th, 1222, he was born here in Japan. And then when he gets to about the age of 16, he's set off on a mission, if you like, to discover the different Buddhist teachings that were sort of available at the time in Japan. And he went to places like Kyoto, Nara, Kamakura.
Okay.
And he even went into the headquarters of the Tendai school. But after that, when he made his big discovery at Seijoji Temple, he discovered the Lotus Sutra.
Okay, so by the way, where is that temple is located?
Okay, which temple are we talking about here? Mount near on. We're talking about the Enrakuji Temple?
Yes, sure.
Oh, I'm not dead sure about that. It says Mount Hiei. Headquarters. Hiezan. But that is the Tendai school. That's where he went, if you like, prematurely in the beginning. And then he went on his travels to try and find the right truth, if you like. Maybe subconsciously he was trying to find that. And eventually he stumbled upon the Lotus Sutra and NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO, which is incidentally the title of the sutra, amongst other things. And as he traveled, and he was persecuted quite a lot in his life, during his life, at that time, he wrote these gosho, or these letters of all his experiences, and mainly the purpose of these gosho was to encourage his followers and believers at the time. And one of them, a lot of these gosho, strangely, can be read again today, and they can be very much encouraging to believers and even non-believers of Buddhism. So I'd like to just choose one of them, which is entitled The Winter Always Changes to Spring. Because for me, in my life, I think in my practice, at least in minor ways, it's always been like, it says here in the gosho, let me just read it to you.
Okay.
Just the one excerpt, just one excerpt.
All right.
Those who believe in the Lotus Sutra are as if in winter, but winter always changes to spring, or turns to spring. Never, from ancient times on, has anyone heard or seen of winter turning back into autumn. Nor have we heard of a believer in the Lotus Sutra who turned into an ordinary person. The sutra reads, if there are those who hear the law, so even if Kaz is sitting here today and he's heard NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO for the first time, he's heard the law, the mystic law. So eventually, whether it's in this lifetime or not is another question, but eventually he will come to be Buddhist in the end. And so he will eventually start to develop that Buddha nature. It could be in this lifetime. We don't know yet. If there are those who hear the law, then not a one, it's very interesting English, not a one, not one, will fail to attain Buddhahood. So it's giving you the chance, if you like. You could be in I think, and if you take it to the modern day, because in those days people were having a tough time and being persecuted by the authorities. But in these modern times with coronavirus and different things going on, we find ourselves in very dramatic or sometimes tragic situations, and we're looking for a way basically out of that situation. It could be, let's say, a bankruptcy or very serious financial situation for your family and your job. But if the bad situation, for instance, is the financial situation from the job, then in not one instance will the winter not change to spring. So by chanting NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO and the 2nd and 16th chapters of the Lotus Sutra, which we come to in another episode, you will be able to, as if you like, change your whole life from on a regular basis, from winter to spring. It's always changing. Naturally, the seasons are happening like this, but in a more spiritual sense and in a more chance-grabbing sense, you will be able to accomplish things that you may not have thought were possible beforehand.
Wow. So, okay, being Christian, I can empathize with you that prayers are super powerful.
Yeah.
You know, people say that's mysterious, that's such a thing. No, it does. In my own experience. Yes. Right.
People say, what's it that this is a spirit?
Non-believers used to telling me that prayers, it never work. It does, in my experience.
Oh, yes. Yes, I mean, in my case, I think when I first came to Japan and just simply chanting for students in my school.
What?
I was in a place called Daitabashi near Meidai-mai, which is
near Shinjuku.
Near Shinjuku.
Okay.
And I didn't have a job at all.
Oh.
But I met a man on a train who was actually running a trading company. His name was Dwight Inamoto, and he arranged to meet me in a stand-up like pronto coffee shop, and in those pronto shops you could buy a beer, and he gave me a small beer, and I said, well, he told me about his successes in his trading company, which were quite incredibly big, I thought. For instance, he had an account at Marui department store, and supplied a lot of products for that department store, and he supplied surfing gear from Hawaii. And I was wondering, well, you know, how do you get the opportunity or the chance to do all this? So anyway, to cut a long story short, he gave me his name card, and at that time I think it was called International Projects. It was quite some time ago. And he had a small company, very rich small company, and on the back of the card he wrote the words NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO, and he said, this is what I do. And so then I took that, I thought, I think I was a bit of a sleepy character at that time.
6 kanji characters, right?
Yes, like NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO.
That's 6 to be exact. Okay.
And then I took these words home, and I didn't, for some reason, I'm not really sure, I didn't question it that much. Like most people have questioned it a lot. But anyway, so I took these words home, and I started chanting actually to the wall in a very small room, NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO, and I, you know, and it was in phone conversation at the time. There wasn't much email, and there wasn't any email, and with Dwight, and I just chanted for students actually, and I got a student who was working at Say Your Food, and he started to study from like 11:30 p.m. to maybe 1 in the morning with me, and it was near the edge of the bubble, so people weren't suffering from money really. Anyway, he's one of the examples, and his money that he paid me helped pay for my butsudan, or sanctuary, or
yes, made out of wood.
Yeah, when I put the butsudan up in my small room.
Okay.
And later, I was introduced to another person, Scobie John, and he got my Gohonzon for me, the mandala with the word Nichiren Daishonin is written down the middle, and. When I did the chanting, getting back to just the chanting itself,
okay,
I just started getting so many students. It was just uncanny. I spoke no Japanese at all, none, and I had no secretary or anything.
Back in the days, foreigners or expats in Japan used to be treated as a criminal.
Yeah, I mean,
sense,
it was,
right?
you know,
in a sense.
In a sense, we were really the gaijin, or the outsider. And it was kind of sort of unusual, really. Most people would probably have gotten a job straight away in a school or something, but for some reason I didn't. And I just chanted for students, and I just got all of these students, quite a lot actually. Definitely more than happily enough to survive. And so I thought, well, and I could feel the power in these words, NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO. And so there I was. I think I was let's put it like this, I was in winter, I admit it. I was in a dark situation. I didn't know what to do, didn't have a job. I didn't have all the wherewithals about me.
So you were in a cave.
I was sort of in a cave, and along comes this guy on a train, slightly balding head and a funny hat. And, and he's a slick businessman. And he's just a slick businessman, really. And he told me about all the contracts that he got by chanting NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO, and how his business went to, from thousands to millions. And, so I was always thought, well, I suppose I'm going to
positive energies got emerged to your heart.
Yes, a lot of positive energies came to me.
Good.
And good. I'm still surprised that it really works. It goes through phases of belief, really, how strongly you believe in it. But why do I like this particular gosho or letter from Nichiren Daishonin so much? Because you might, you slack a little bit and you get yourself into the cave, or maybe just due to the coronavirus, you find yourself in a really dreadful, terrible, unbelievable situation. And then what do? I mean, there's no, there seems to be no door out. But there is. You're in the winter, and then here along come these words, if you like, or this sutra. And to me, I feel that it saved me. And it saved me not just in a financial manner, but in other ways as well. Which I don't really want to go totally into that in this episode.
Okay.
But
other episode, eventually, whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the winter also, it says, if we go back a few lines here,
sure.
Never from ancient times on has anyone heard or seen of winter turning back to autumn. So it's like you go from winter to the new season. But then the next winter you're faced with a bigger obstacle to overcome. So you're always in a situation, if you like, where you've got a bigger obstacle that you never thought would be possible to even start. And then you get that obstacle and you think, oh, I can't do this, but you can. And then with the hope of this Lotus Sutra and NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO, you always seemed to somehow get through to the other side of the problem. And there you are in a new situation. And it's always so very much exciting. So that's all I would like to say about this gosho. The winter always turns to spring. And if you believe in the Lotus Sutra, then you can start to feel a different connotation. Because you might be sitting, well, that's obvious. There's the seasons of the year, and the 4 seasons follow each other, and that's the same. But this is slightly different to that. If you look at it in terms of getting out of one situation and into a much better situation. That's what this Gosho means to me.
So basically, sorry for interruptions. Now,
sure.
Basically means do not take it literally.
Do not take it literally.
Is that what you mean, man? Because winter always turns to spring.
Well, in one way, yes. Yeah, one way, don't take it literally. And another way, do take it literally. But yeah, that's a good question.
It's a good question, right?
It is a very good question. You could say, I mean, the atheists out there would say that, well, you are thinking in your mind that things are going to get better, or you're searching deep down subconsciously for a new situation that's going to improve your life, or there's so many factors that could be construed from the chanting. There's so, you know, it could be this plethora of reasons why it's not the chanting that's working, it's just you evolving. But I can assure you that it's not like that. It's the chanting itself that has some kind of je ne sais quoi. And I think that's why they call it the mystic law. It's a mystical thing. And it can't be, and I can't emphasize enough, it can't really be intellectually discovered. It's just one of those things, you have to give it a try. So please give it a try. NAN-MYO-HOU-RENGE-KYO. And the words will be written down on the bottom of this video. And please subscribe, by the way, to the Religious Debaters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And have a very nice day ahead.
Take care.